All right, everyone. Welcome once again to the Faces of Business. I am your host, Damon Pistolka, and I just realized I didn't have the scenes matched up right, but I got them done now. So I am so happy because today we are going to be talking about principles of wealth creation for business owners with none other than Curtis May. Curtis, thanks for being here today.
Yes, Damon. Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's going to be awesome, man. Because I tell you what, we are ready. We are ready. We were talking in the back before we got on today. So much stuff ready for this. So, as we always like to do, Curtis, we'd like to know how you got into helping people in your company, practical wealth solutions, helping people find and manage their money better.
Look, it was a interesting route because I was in college and I realized the NBA was not looking for 5'11" shooting guards my junior year. So somebody showed me a check for $400 and said, "This is what I made for hours worth of work." And it turns out, I said, "You got your insurance license." And then I got my investment licenses, and I did that, like you would notice, buy term investor difference for about 13 years. And what happened was I was passionate about helping people, about money. I've always been passionate about money. Okay. And I always tell people I never got that. People are taught, go to school, get your education, get a good job. I never got that talk. My father was self-employed. We owned a supermarket growing up in Philly. My grandfather was self-employed. So I've heard from the time I was 7, boy, you'll never make any money work for somebody else. So we employed other people. It didn't even occur to me. I thought you majored in business to go into business. And
Yeah.
so it didn't even occur to me to get a job. And so I kind of had, I guess I was weird, but I guess I kind of had a head start. And then I just kind of fell into, and I was a typical, max out your 401k person. And then I read a little purple book in 1999, 2000 called Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I was like, what he's talking about and what I'm doing are not the same thing. And I thought I was doing, because I was passionate about helping people understand it. And I said, there's other ways to skin a cat. And then I'm a nerd. So I'll get into a book, and then I'll get into the bibliography. And then I read this little book called Become Your Own Banker. And then I read The Creature from Jekyll Island and Economics in One Lesson. So now I'm going down the libertarian road of Austrian economics, and just because I want to know why things happen.
Yeah.
Don't tell me the market goes up, the market goes down. No, it's going up and down because the Fed is distorting things, and I'm like that. So I'm like, if anybody does a Colby, I'm like a 7 out of 10 fact find, right? So I need to know how stuff works.
Yeah.
And so I kind of got into that, and then just, living through business and, with our parents having a fire, and then having, we were in the tavern business after that, and seeing my father, bounce back and getting involved in that. And, being in a brick and mortar where you got, city regulations and license and inspections coming in, doing surprise visits and all this, dumb stuff, making payroll, looking at the guy at the bank. See, this is what people don't understand, right? I'm looking at, you got payroll Saturday morning. I'm looking at, because when some of it was cash, right? So I'm looking at the bank account, looking in the safe, going, God, I hope we had a party Friday night, and we need to have a good Friday night so I can make payroll the next morning, right? And so most of y'all know what that feels like. And so I felt that I just have a passion for helping people, because I just got beat up,
Yeah.
in that world. And I think there's a separation between money, business. People don't manage cash flow well. And I just started figuring stuff out, and I'm good at learning it and teaching it. And I just started incorporating, what pained me: marketing, not having a place to go, inefficient cash flow, not understanding estimated taxes, all that stuff.
Well, yeah. One of the things that I noticed when I was going through your background, you talk about 3 ways to grow revenue in your business without spending any new money on advertising.
Yes.
And when you talk about financial planners, that's not usually a topic that comes up. So what are we talking about there?
So what I realized, and I always tell people, I don't care if you're a pastor of a church, you're in the marketing business, right?
Yeah.
And so I was a big student of Jay Abraham back. So I've been in Dan Kennedy, Jay Abraham, direct response marketing. And then in studying him, he says, look, your business is your number one investment. It's not sending, this is what my belief is. It's not sending money to some fund manager you never met, right? And so there's really 4 ways to grow, right? And so what I kind of figured it out, because I've done it with our own business, is that the first way is, because I'm the guy that can talk about both. We can talk about your money, we can talk about your number one asset, which is the business, right?
Yeah.
Well, how do you grow your revenue? Because that's the thing. That's the engine that drives a car. So number one, get more clients. Or
Yeah.
get more leads, lead generation. Okay. Now, the problem is most business owners, especially if they're older, they don't know anything. So you'll fall prey to people selling you media, selling you websites, selling you all this BS, right? It's not BS, but it's expensive way because you're only growing one way, trying to get more leads, right?
Yep.
So I changed it a little bit from what Jay says it. So I say 3 ways. So it's get more leads, it's increase your conversions. Okay.
Yep.
So if you are getting 100 people and you're only converting 30% of them, if you can convert 60 of them, 60, double that to 60%,
Yeah.
now you've doubled your revenue on the same spend, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of ways to do that. Better follow up, having unique selling proposition, having a database. Most sales happen after most salespeople go by after the second interaction, but most sales happen between the 7th and the 11th. So if you follow up and keep in touch, you'll pick up. See, none of that stuff costs money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Third is you got to have a database. So I'm big on database marketing. You need to put them somewhere and be able to at least sort them through prospects who you want to convert to engaged clients. You want to get your clients to upsell them into something else, and then you want to reactivate your old clients, right?
Yeah.
And so those it's like basic block and tackling, right? And then what's the third way? The third way is increase customer value, raise your prices, increase frequency, get them to buy more stuff, more offer, add-ons. Would you like to biggie size that? Can you package stuff? And joint ventures, right? Who else? Like I'm doing a joint venture. I thought of a product and with a bookkeeping. Most business owners bookkeeping sucks. So I work on cash flow management, which I call cash flow mapping, which is telling your money where to go. But you still need your P&L is like looking at history, but you still need that, right?
Yeah.
So but you need to forecast, right? So I'm working at somebody, because I don't like bookkeeping, but I want people to read the numbers, right?
Yeah.
And then so I kind of thought about, okay, how else can I serve more people? So boom, I'm going to create another product out of that will increase my customer value. And then the fourth way, this is the bonus, is to increase retention, develop continuity, membership programs, that kind of stuff. And so you can do that. Now, social media is 5, right? But those 4 things I just talked about, and strategic alliances, joint venture partners. So if you just focus on the 3 ways to grow, creating a unique selling proposition, integrating that into your current sales process, creating a database, and doing strategic alliances, you could grow any business. So if y'all want to grow your business you already have, if you want to buy a business, you could go in and look for that, and you start looking, you could figure, okay, well, I could do this on an earn out, and I can grow the sales and pay for my money, and so but you got to look, some people are tired, like they're there, but they're too tired to feel like doing that kind of stuff. So if you can look at stuff with fresh eyes. So I learned that, going through a marketing program with this guy that was a Jay Abraham mentor, and then I discovered Jay directly, and then I use it on myself.
Nice. Yeah, because it is, we talk with a lot of people about sales and marketing and other things, and you hit the main thing. First of all, conversion. I think it's so easy, because if I have 100 potential and I normally convert 20, if I convert 40, I double my revenue. I mean, it's not finding new people. It's just, connecting better with the ones you have.
Or reactivating have database of people that already said yes and done business with them, and they don't talk to them. They don't make another offer. They don't ask them to,
Yeah.
do anything. And it's like basic stuff. And you think you have to throw all this money at stuff, and you really just need to pay attention and look at the opportunities you have within your number one asset, your number one investment right now.
Mhm.
Because your number one asset is you, right? But your number one investment is the business.
Yeah.
And you look at, how can I optimize this? How can I, because Jay says if you grow 10% more leads, 10% better conversions, and 10% like increase your customer value, that's geometric. So that's 33% new growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boom.
There you
You
go.
know what I mean? So
Yep.
that's my other favorite topic. It's like a tie between money and business growth and marketing, because that's where the rubber, it's
Well,
important.
it's the difference between success and failure. I mean,
Yeah.
you see it, I'm sure, every day. Most people get into business because they're good at something, but they're not good at growing that business when they get into it. And that's what kills most of the businesses that we see. Is it's like, you're really good. I'm a really good baker, but I'm not good at selling my pie.
Right.
And that's the thing is that you, like you're saying, you get more leads, you get the conversions, you improving the value and keeping your customers around longer. It makes a big deal. That's for sure. So as we're gonna talk about money now, because we're here to talk about principles of wealth creation for business owners, right? And this is what I think is really interesting, talking with you and getting ready for the show. We were talking about why typical financial advice, planning advice, is bad for a business owner. And I just want to get that thing right out there so we can talk about that for a moment.
Yeah. So it's because, so if you think about your objective, right? Your objective is, because what I try to give it to is, what do you want? You want to become financially free. You don't want to retire. Retirement is an age. Financial freedom is a capability, which is a function of cash flow, passive income greater than your expenses. Okay.
Yep.
So now if you look at most financial advice, is the typical financial advice that's mainstream is focused around what? AUM, assets under management. We've got X amount of assets under management. And so all financial advice is built with 4 rules in mind. Like, I don't care what company, insurance, stock market, whatever. It's 4 rules, right? They want your money. Okay. They want it on a regular basis. They want to keep it as long as possible.
Yep.
And they want to give it back as slow as possible. Okay. If ever, right?
Yeah.
So if you had let's say you had $1 million assets under management, and you wanted to diversify and go buy an apartment complex, and you wanted $250,000 for a down payment, they're not going to be excited by that, because there's no way to make money on the grid off of their thing. We got these real estate investment trusts. Oh, really? So what? You keep them, right? I want to be a direct investment where I can create value. And so because that lowers their income. They're not bad. It's just, it is what it is. So you need them, but you've got to understand where their bread is buttered. Okay.
Yeah.
And so so their goal in Robert Kiyosaki's book is called Fake. He says the magic doesn't happen with assets under management. Their job is not to make you rich. Their goal is not make Damon rich.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I call all of that is built on what I call the accumulation theory, right? Which is buy and hold, dollar cost average, get out of debt, buy term investor difference. But if you took a corporate finance course, they don't teach none of that stuff. What do they focus on? If you look at how institutions and wealthy people handle their money, they focus on velocity of money. Right? What does Mr. Wonderful always say? If I put this $500,000 in your deal, how soon am I getting my money back?
Yeah.
With friends, right? So, and you get it back, and then what does you do? Put it in something else, and then get it back. That's velocity, right? We're taught to buy and hold, park and pray, and hope the market goes up. Okay, and so the second, and then they focus on cash flow. So what is an asset? Income follows assets. So what is an asset? Something that puts money in your pocket without you working. So you have to learn how to buy and build assets. So gain, what's this saying in Philly? We say gain recognizes gain. So if you remember the cash flow quadrant, right? ESBI. So I's invest in good B's, business owners, right? And so if you want to become a good eye, you grow from being a business, so you can, you know how to read financial statements, you understand money, and you can tell
Mhm.
a good investment because you were a B first,
Yeah.
right? And then you want to focus on protection, like risk management, which is insurances and that kind of stuff. You don't jump out of a perfectly good plane without a parachute. And then, you know, a lot of times where people are taught the rent term insurance, we teach a strategy called being your own banker. But when you look at, I interviewed this guy, Barry Dyke, who wrote The Powers of Manhattan, and he amazing research. He looks at the financials of all these big companies. Their banks, their tier one capital is made up of permanent insurance. So they rest on certainty, having liquidity and having access to capital, right?
Yeah.
And so they don't. And then the other thing is, if you read, so this is the nerd part coming out, right? So if you, I'll ask people, have they heard of Warren Buffett? They go, yeah. I say, well, you heard of Benjamin Graham? They go, no. Most, like 15%. Have you heard of Benjamin Graham, which is Warren Buffett's mentor, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Original mentor. And he's in his book, in The Intelligent Investor, because people say, I want to invest. Let's talk about investing and see if we talk about the same thing. Okay. So in his book, an investment is something where upon thorough investigation, you put your capital where you have safety of principle and a reasonable opportunity to make a profit. If it doesn't fit that definition, you are speculating or gambling, right? So business owners will go out, do this big exit, and then gamble with the rest of the damn money. They just give it to a fund manager where, where that's not how you got rich. You got rich,
Yeah.
you took risks, you built a business. And last thing I'll say, Damon, on this point is that we talk about the 3 rules of investing, within our practice, right? And so this keeps me out of a lot of trouble. And every time when I interview people on our show, when I hear them, they're doing syndications, whatever, I will stop them to point out this pattern. So my first rule is invest in what you know or invest in knowing. Like if you're not really investing in knowing, you're speculating. Okay. People say, Chris, we think about Bitcoin. I don't think anything. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I don't know, and I don't want to invest in knowing. So I don't do it. Right. My second rule is invest in what you can control. What can you influence the outcome of the success or failure of the deal?
Yeah.
Right. Does it cash flow? Right. Those are the first 2 rules. And my third rule that I try to operate by is don't chase returns. Where most regular people, most what I call civilians, I hate to say people with jobs, with Dan Kennedy said civilians, right? People with jobs, and so typical advice is designed for civilians, it's designed for employees, right? What you need as a business owner, advice will say, so you'll get stuff like cash management plans, solo 401ks, or put money in a 401k. So send money away from your business on a one-way journey, right? Hoping some fund manager is really smart, right? And whereas if you want to I tell people, look, you want to have liquidity, you want to store it somewhere where you have access to it, so that if you need an opportunity or emergency, you can get to your money, redeploy it, buy another business, invest in equipment, and you want to control the financing portion of your life. We call being the bank. But basically what you want to do is, if the main thing that's creating wealth is the business, you don't want to send money away, never to be seen again.
Yeah.
You want to it's got to come back. You got to create velocity. And so typical advice doesn't do that. That's what I've discovered. So I think that you've got to try, and your instincts. Here's the thing, y'all, your listeners, your instincts tell you that. All of them know that their business is making more in the S&P.
Yeah. Yeah.
You put $1 and you make $2. That's 100%. I don't know. I'd rather do that.
Yeah.
And so that's why I say that. It's just like your people fall into, this is what I should do because everybody else, these people on TV said I should do this, but you're successful because you invested in what you understood, what you could control, and you didn't chase returns, because if you understand it, it's not risky.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just try to free people up to follow, listen to what the voice in their head, because you're your best financial advisor. It's not some fund manager and they're talking about standard deviation and all this other BS to sound important. you know, can you grow your revenue? Can you focus on the 3 ways to grow
Yeah.
and save
Yeah.
money? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's such, I'm just listening, man. I'm soaking it up. And I want to
You didn't
acknowledge a
trigger me
couple.
now. Now I'm fired up.
That's good. That's good. Well, we got Dale Underwood. He was talking. He put a comment in earlier. Thanks so much, Dale. He said B2B. He sees B2B manufacturers with thousands of website visitors and sub 1% engagement, and they're still trying to get more traffic. He was back to where you're saying, get your conversion rates up and things get better for your business. That's for sure. And then my friend Curtis Tompkins in here today. Curtis out there on the East Coast with you. He's a little bit farther south, but he's on the East Coast there. Huge difference between financial advice given to business owners and everyday people. Great layout provided here.
Curtis
Thanks
is
so much.
obviously a brilliant guy. You know, just got, you know, I'm a C, he's a K, but that's all right. The same.
There you go. There you go. Well, this is it really is interesting what you're talking about, because I've heard the principle of velocity of money a lot. And you know, as we're working with business owners, they're generally they're increasing their wealth, right? They are increasing their wealth, they're doing it, and they're really looking for different ways. And it is amazing though how many times they get advice from financial planners. It is ship your money off over here and we'll take care of it. And like you said earlier, when they go and they say, well, I want to invest in this real estate, I want to buy this apartment building, I want to buy this whatever farmland, doesn't matter. Those people that have that money there are going, well, what do you mean?
Real estate's risky. You can't do that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Everything under the sun, why you
Right,
don't want to do that. And it is interesting because it is, you know, I like what you're saying there. Not that I'm an expert on anyways in financial planning, but you know, diversifying that money, but get it to where you can get it back fast and make the most money possible. And that's
because financial planning is not investment planning.
there you
Okay.
go.
That's the thing. So financial planning is really more about preparation for, excuse the expression, shit happening, right?
Yep.
Because you know, it's most of it's going to go wrong. So you need to ensure, you know, so good financial planning. This is a guy, what's his name is Lauren Dutton, who created the financial planning model like 1969, 70. Good financial planning. So I always try to think like this. It's 5 parts, right? It's helping, this is how they define it, helping average families. It wasn't even for rich people. It was for middle income people. People forgot their roots because they want to chase elephants and just, you know, the rest on assets under management. But it's helping average families spend, cash flow management, save, build, save. Let me define saving: safe, liquid, accessible, guaranteed. Okay, so stop chasing returns. Invest. But I already defined what I thought investment was, right?
Yeah.
And ensure. You have to play defense. I'm the defensive coordinator. I don't worry about you. Offense is your job. Grow the business. That's offense. Buy real estate. That's offense. I'm the make sure you don't lose it guy. Is grow it, keep it. Is make it, keep it, grow it. I'm the keep it, grow it guy. Okay, so I started staying in my lane. Although I understand it, I'd like the keep it part. So I'd lean more towards insurance protection because stuff happens. So you have to, if you think about while you're on the path to chasing this, the you know, the brass wing, what could happen? You could get sick. You could get a fire. You could get in an at-fault car accident. You could become disabled. You could die. You could get sued. I mean, that's not like that. Some of that's going to happen along the way. And so you have to protect against that. Like insurance is designed to indemnify you, right? Which means to bring you back to where you were so you don't suffer a setback. You got to dig out this hole. So you got to protect yourself, and your plan should work no matter what. Sick, injured, sued, down markets, up markets. You can't just have a plan that only works when the sun is shining. So you have to, it's more about provisioning and protection. Because the last time I checked, ain't nobody got a working crystal ball, So, and hope is not a good strategy, right? So I talk to people about, protection. So when we'll get into a little bit later, the 5 principles of personal finance, this is where we teach people to think about, developing a bulletproof plan that works no matter what. And so that's what I do, because it's not about investing. It's not about wealth management. Wealth management is what you do once you made the money, right? But how do you build wealth? Look at the Forbes 400. Business, real estate, paper, and commodities are the 4 asset classes. But when you look at them, it's business, real estate. Okay.
Yeah.
In that order, right? And
Yeah.
paper, and see, because paper is not just equities. Paper is what those things are like tax liens,
Yep.
bucket lives, those life settlements,
Yep.
notes. I got a client that he don't buy the real estate, he buys the notes. And when they pay the mortgage, he gets paid because he's the bank, right?
Yep.
There's all kinds of stuff, but you have to, they're not efficient markets, and you kind of have to do your homework. That's why I always tell people investing is about becoming something, right? So you have to educate yourself. You have to investigate. You got to learn how to do it. And it's not easy, but it is easier than being broke, right? It is. So so some people don't like me because I tell people, look, it's your money, it ain't Curtis's money. It's not, and so it can't be more important to me than it is to you. So I give homework. You got to read books. We're going to talk about it. I'm not probably going to give you a direct answer. What should I do? I don't know. What do you know? What do you like? What's the objective? So it's going to get 3 or 4 questions. But the difference is what people say I do for them is I empower them. I change how they think. And we have a conversations, because at the end of the day, you need to be the captain of the ship. You can't just like defer decisions. People want to defer decisions because they want to blame somebody if stuff doesn't go right.
Yep. I think that, well, and there's a lot of financial planners that are ready to take that on. I mean, and will defend it to the end, right? Because they think that's their role, to just take that right off of your plate. Don't worry about it. We're going to grow your money, whatever, like you said, ship it away, and they'll grow it at their whatever rate they're trying to do it, and hope that it does.
Where has that ever worked in anywhere else in your life where you've outsourced it and it turned out good and you abdicated control, responsibility, and knowledge? That doesn't work anywhere.
I love it. I just had this conversation with someone that said, hey, we should outsource this part of our business. I said, yeah, then where's that knowledge go?
Yep.
That knowledge, I mean, that knowledge is so critical, especially in a business. So, so in life it is as well, that financial knowledge, understanding how to invest your money and really grow it the way that you want to. Yeah, good stuff.
So,
Good stuff.
and like those are friends of mine. I know some of the top people that are wealth managers in my company. I'm just saying that what I do is I put this message out there and it resonates with a lot of people, because I'm just letting them know, because they're thinking it, but I'm just letting you know, no, you're not crazy, right? You're thinking right. And I just let them lean into what they're already thinking and just try to build some guardrails around that. And, I want to make sure you don't lose, because see, most people are chasing returns, but there is more opportunity. See, if you want to create maximum wealth, you have to create maximum efficiency, right? You got to stop giving money away. And so most people are chasing returns, but there's more opportunity in minimizing the losses, right? Into identifying and eliminating wealth transfers. Most business owners will give away $3 to $5 million in their business working lifetime. Money they don't have. A transfer is money that's leaving your asset column to, let's say if you pay a tax you didn't have to pay. That's money leaving your asset column to the Treasury Department, right? But it's worse than that, because people don't factor in opportunity cost. This is what we try to get them to understand, right? So I'll just make up a number. Let's say for easy math, let's say you could get 7% on your money or investing in your business. So if you use the rule of 72, money will double at 7% about every 10.2 years, about every 10 years, let's say. So if you pay a $50,000 tax you didn't have to pay, well, okay, your tax, the money's gone, but it never stops going, right? So that means in 10 years, your 50 would have been worth 100, your 100 worth 200, your 200 worth 400, your 408. That is and so now add that up every year.
Yeah.
And that's just one, right? There's like 10, but let's say there's 6. How you pay your mortgage, taxes, how you fund retirement plans. Okay, putting your money in a straitjacket because you want a SEP. People will do a SEP and they'll write a $30,000 check to keep from writing a $3,000 check or a $5,000 check, right? And tying up money in this thing you can't touch till you're 59 years old because you saving for retirement. Guess what? if you had $2 million in a retirement account, you need a lot of money to live
Yeah.
off the accumulation theory, right?
Yeah.
So if you had $1 million, what's it called? The safe withdrawal rate, right?
Yeah.
4%. Some argue it's less than that, but $1 million would bring you $40,000 a year off of that money if you just without evading your principal. So if you had
Yeah.
2 million, that's 80,000. Well, okay, you're pulling $250,000 out the business, so you need other things that throw off a check.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not saying not do that, because you need to accumulate, but you need to buy cash flow, what I call cash flow engines. And I think you just have to take your same entrepreneurial zeal and, deploy into that, or if you like, I don't want to say alternatives, but things like syndication, stuff like that. But you have to do your due diligence on the operator. That's investing in knowing.
Yeah.
Don't just give it to somebody because they have a nice private placement memorandum and they gave you a nice brochure.
Yeah. Yeah. That is one of the big things that you really got to look out for, those opportunities that you don't know about, right? Because that can be really costly. That's for sure. So you brought this up a little bit, but let's talk about cash flow mapping. What are you talking about there? Because that sounds pretty interesting.
So what I'm known for, what I like to be known for, is really helping people get control of so we have a program, and so I'll give you a similarity. I would have people read the book Profit First, okay, which is basically like if you ever read The Richest Man in Babylon, part of all your earnings yours to keep. Basically, Michalowicz is applying that to business owners.
Yep.
Right. And so, just bucking, and this was a game changer for me because I've been doing this for like 4 years. Right. And so now I'm really anal about looking at my numbers like every week. I want to see my number every month. I need to see my P&L. I really want to see it every week. But, when you look at cash flow map, what we do is we say that budgeting on your personal finance, looking at your P&Ls, is really, it doesn't work because what you're looking at is history. So it's like driving a car, looking through the rearview mirror, but you're trying to go forward. So what I want people to do, and we have a program where we teach people to look out the windshield, look forward, right? I want you to forecast. I want, when the money hits your account, you should know exactly where it's going to go, right? And even with a fluctuating income, you still, your bills, because you have to sort out. You got fixed bills, business and personal. You've got variable bills. So sometimes the variable bills go down if your revenue goes down. Sometimes it goes up, but you've got certain rent and certain things that are static. So to me, you need to know, because what I found is if I have like a good quarter, I'll find all kinds of dumb stuff to buy, all coaching programs and little shiny objects. And then I woke up, I was like, wait, I made X, where did all my money go? Right. And so you have to, you have to stop it. You have to track it. So what we do is kind of help people, one, figure out where they are, and what's coming in and what's going out. And we actually map it. Here's your fixed bills. Here's your variable bills. Here's how you set aside enough for taxes. How much do you need to run your household? So a lot of people still commingle, or they're running so much stuff of their personal stuff through the business. Then when you try to sell it, you got, this, you got to back that out. You got to back down the sales price because you weren't paying yourself a salary. And so the person that buys it doesn't want to work. They want to buy an asset. So you got to drop the sales price to cover the $300,000 you should have been paying yourself or whatever. Right. And so you got to know that early. And then, because now once you begin to know your numbers, you could look at, for example, if you're like, I'll look at somebody's, like, here's where I learned it. My family was in the bar business. Right. And we had a CPA that I'd hired. My father was sick. So I was like thrust into the, unprepared, didn't know my boxes of unopened tax bills.
Oh,
like literally, so I had a crash course in taxation. I mean, I lost like 15 pounds. I look great, but I lost pounds. This gray hair, my hair was jet black, so I had to, two things. I had to deal with that stress, and I could get robbed at gunpoint because all three of our bars were in North Philly, which is the hood for so I had all that. But anyway, he looked at my numbers and go, dude, they're killing you. I was like, what are you talking about? And I didn't get how to read the numbers, right? So he goes, we're looking at so in the bar business, if I spent so I've been out of it about 15 years now, but if I spent $1,000, I should have like in beer, I should have like $5,000. If all my, if the stock is gone, I should have $5,000 in the register, right?
Yeah.
And it's like 6 or 1 or so with liquor, right? And so he was looking at our history made this week. Here's what you spent in liquor and beer, and they weren't adding up. And it jumped out at him like that, and I didn't know what he was talking about. So I went, being a 7 out of 10 fact find, I went all in on inventory management, understanding the numbers. And I think a lot of times, even we grew up in retail, so theft, internal theft, the delivery theft is a big thing, and that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of people don't know their numbers. Like you look at the P&L. And you can look at it and say, all right, well, how much you spend on marketing? And they don't, or they cut it when things get tight. And you wonder why you're not making money. Well, you're not selling anything, right? Yeah. And so, it's like, that's what I mean. You can look at stuff once you really know the numbers and you know what leverage you need to pull. And that's why I said so much opportunity in managing the business. So with cash flow mapping, we're trying to, one, get a handle on what's coming in, what's going out, making sure that you're stopping enough in it so that you build wealth from the business, and buy other assets, because if you sell the business, you're still supposed to be rich, right? Yeah. You want to build other assets that kind of offsets. You want to build passive income, great expenses. So if you can buy other assets, real estate, complementary businesses, then now it takes the pressure off because you've got more than one way to make money. Yeah. And now whatever you make from your primary business, just running up the score.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's what we're trying to do with cash flow map, and then keep your lifestyle in check, because so you can whip Parkinson's law, right? Expenses rising mean income.
Yeah. Well, I always laugh because we do work with some construction contractors, right? They are notorious, man. You can see how the construction business is going because there's a new boat, there's new UTVs, there's new cars, whatever it is, it's coming out as soon as
I was watching this to YouTube the other day. A Ford F-150 is like $112,000.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they're 100,000 plus.
Oh my God! That the tractor trailer used to cost 50,000. Now that's a Ford F-150.
Yeah, yeah.
But I need that because I got to have all this stuff, and it's got a multi facet thing where I could open up the trunk. Okay.
Yeah. That's so real quick. James Kunkel, thanks for stopping by today. Appreciate it. But it's so funny because you're going down the road that I think a lot of business. I love this cash flow mapping. I mean, we preach in and out that if you don't know how you're doing every week, you don't know how you're doing, right?
Yes.
And it's so important. And it's not just how much is in the bank. I mean, I about threw up. This has been a lot of years ago. I was in North Dakota in the oil fields, and this was a $50 million company. And I'm not kidding you. The owner of the company told me they were doing good because there was a lot of cash in the bank. That's as good as he knew the financials were going. And I'm like, but it's really important for people to, as you said, educate themselves. And I don't mean to make fun of that situation, because that's not something to make fun of. That's a serious situation, because there are so many moving pieces in a business. Like you said, in a bar, you should know if I spend $1 on something and I should get $5 in return. That's a good thing to know every week. I spent $100 in beer and I should have 500 in the till. That's a super important thing to be able to do, because those simple things is what will save you in the end. It's not the humongo calculation that's doing something. It is these simple 2 or 3 things or 5 things that you can look at in your life, your business every week that will save you.
Yeah, their prices are too low. They're not. They're one of my clients is a big contractor here in my area, and he says that most of these guys go out of business because they don't price your stuff right.
Yep.
They price it enough to get the job, then they take that money and go finish the other job they underpriced.
Ooh. Ooh, that's tough.
Right. So I've seen it. So it's like, because I got real friends that are like really in business, so I
Yeah.
didn't come out of corporate,
Yep.
and I remember I was in school, I was a business major, and I only had one professor I liked because everybody else appeared to be reading from a book, from the textbook. And, you can tell when it's coming from here out, not from here out, where you could feel it, and I realized I could have learned more from my dad and my grandfather than I could have learned in school. Cause people don't understand. One time I was maybe like 11 and it was July and he had an order of, I remember seeing the price on it. So ice cream, they just got from the people. It's July. So it's like, I don't know, 99 degrees and the freezer's not working. Somehow the freezer malfunctioned. So he's frantically trying to get the freezer working. And I'm seeing $1,300 melting on the floor that he just bought, that you can't get it back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so people don't understand. You have these politicians. I'm not going to go there too hard. But one time I was in speaking down in Delaware at the city council. So it was a financial literacy week. Someone asked me to come speak there, and I got into this discussion. Let's just call it that with the one of the city council people there, and she was running for lieutenant governor, I think. And somehow we were talking about something, and she said a trigger word for me, which is minimum wage, right? And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And something about these big corporations downtown. I said, most of these companies that you see, these big buildings in Wilmington owned by the banks, that's not the real world. Okay, I said most people are employed by business of 75 people or less. Okay, and do you want to come up with stupid stuff like I got to pay you because you need leave because your wife had a baby? But I see you wanted to get paid. Now I got to hire somebody to replace your ass and pay them and then pay you because you need time off? Or you want to raise minimum wage? Well, I said, look, minimum wage. I went in on her for, somebody had to like, all right, Curtis, you got to calm down. I said, what did I say? I said, I said, most politicians, she correct me, public service. I was like, whatever at this point. Now I'm hyped. And I go, think that income comes from some magic direct deposit, payroll comes from some magic direct deposit machine out the sky. We got to go sell something.
Yes.
To make these payrolls, right? And then you're making it harder and you want to raise cost of labor. If you raise labor, supply and demand. If you raise the cost of something, labor, demand for it goes down. And you're going to raise minimum wage, it's going to cause higher unemployment. I like, that's basic, but it's not basic if you don't understand money or you don't understand how the world works. So you just got, policy because I'm gonna calm down. So because that's a trigger. So but most business owners feel that with me, me, like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not even political. It's policy. It works in the real world. So you have to. So one of the things I try to share with people: listen, you can't control the economy, right? But you can control your personal economy, right? Your production and consumption as a family, as a business, and you gotta protect what you can protect. If you think there's inflation, well, what does inflation benefit? And you got to see that coming and position yourself in front of that. What assets can I buy, or what can I do that where inflation helps? What other business can I buy? What other people can I joint venture with? And I think that we get in our own little bubble, but you got to kind of run what I call a West Coast offense when it comes to your money, right? You got to spread the ball around. So I just try to get people to think, and we work with people, just try to encourage them. I try to always challenge my thinking. So I read a lot, and I try to, have discussions with our people about their money. We deal with cash flow. I deal with, principles, which are, we just teach people the principles, right? So I don't worry about the markets. I can't control that, but I can control if I save 15, 20% of my gross income, my first principle. We could control maximum protection, which is protect your stuff, protect your income, protect yourself from liability, protect against your death, have trust and stuff. That's my second one. You want to leave a legacy of wealth and wisdom guaranteed. That's my third principle. My fourth principle, and see, this is where people drop the ball. And one of the things that we see is liquidity. I'll give you all a list. So I have a report called The Value of Liquidity. So I want to I really am big on that. But you want 6 to 12 months of more of cash.
Yep.
Stuff happens, right? Or if nothing happens, why is Buffett? We talked about this before we recorded. Why is Buffett sitting on $185 billion? Because well, I'm sure he has great peace of mind. Because it's not just sitting on cash. He's got treasuries earning 5%. So I can teach you how to do the equivalent of that, right? And then when you see something, you can access your capital, buy up a competitor, expand something. So you want to look for it. You don't have to stay fully invested all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then the fifth principle is focusing on velocity, not just on capital gains. Most people are buying low, hoping to sell high. And then what we try to teach our people, I try to train I talk for me, I'm trying to train myself to look for opportunities to make money, whether Curtis gets out of bed or not. Because I'm a really good beach bum.
Yeah.
So
yep. And that's good. The velocity is really important because, you know, if you invest $1 and you can get it back tomorrow, you can invest it again, like you said earlier. And then pretty soon now I've got a couple dollars and it goes a lot faster. So,
and that's it. And so we're taught the typical advice is the opposite of that. It's like leave it on the shelf
let it
for
grow
20
a little
years.
bit.
Yeah. And so or you get the opposite advice. So you're taught one thing, but you're taught to buy and hold, but they're micro trading on the millisecond. Okay. You're taught to accelerate your debt. All you're doing is creating cash flow for the financial institutions so they can velocitize it and loan it to somebody else. So you got to see both sides of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, Curtis, it's been awesome talking to you today. If someone wants to talk to you and learn more about Practical Wealth Solutions, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, one, I tell you, listen more for the madness is Curtis to make sure you want to talk to me. But so and listen to our podcast, the Practical Wealth Show on YouTube or iTunes. Okay. I encourage you. I have a lot of content out there about this kind of stuff and kind of the theme of wealth outside of Wall Street. Okay. And then personal finance. And then you can go to, if you're on Instagram, you can go to what's that thing called? Or on YouTube, it's called a Linktree. Yeah. Linktree.
Linktree. There you go.
Yeah, Linktree is a link to my calendar link.
Okay.
I'm going to give you all a gift. I'll give to you, Damon, afterwards.
Very good.
You can also text Be the Bank, BETHEBANK, Be the Bank, all caps, all one word, to 55444. And I'll send you my report, the value of liquidity. We'll also send you the special gift. And I'm an educator, so I like people to get to know us, learn a little bit about that. And if I can help you, I'd love to, offer you can reach out to us from the gift or from our website, practicalwealthsolutions.net. And you can follow what we're doing. And if you want, you just reach out to us and we will, spend 20 minutes, talk about whatever you want to talk about and see if there's a good fit for us to talk to each other.
Awesome, Curtis. It's so great talking to you today. And again, we're talking about principles of wealth creation for business owners. Such a load of information here. So many good things. If you got in on this late, go back to the beginning and listen to it. And man, you're going to pick up some good stuff. I mean, just the number of books you dropped that were, real wealth, just a wealth of knowledge in those books you dropped, a wealth of knowledge in what you said today. Thanks so much for being here today, Curtis.
Listen, thanks for having me. I love talking now business, money, marketing. Those are all my favorite conversations. So we got to get them all in on one session. So I'm excited.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thanks everyone for being here. We'll be back again later with another guest on the Faces of Business.